Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timarandasya Khinajana Shalakya Chakshuram Lidam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bistam Supurakam Garganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chindya Chindya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Premno Ebija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavananam Balarka Shelan Shitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Silantanidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Yashishvara Sridharam Vanshakopatarubyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patita Nam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is chapter 2 of the Antya-lila. Chapter 2, the chastisement of Junior Haridas. Okay. Verse number 1. Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vidam Scha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Advaita Charitamrita, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all his devotees headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaurabhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvaloku Dharite Gaurabhatar Nistarer Hetutara Tribhuda Prakar. In his incarnation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Shri Krishna descended to deliver all the living beings in the 3 worlds, from Brahmaloka down to Patalaloka. He caused their deliverance in 3 ways. Sakadarshanara Jogya Bhakta Jive Avesha Koraye Kahan Kahan Avirbhave. The Lord delivered the fallen souls in some places by meeting them directly, in other places by empowering a pure devotee, and in still other places by appearing before someone himself. Sakadarshane Pray Sabanishtarila Nakula Brahmacharyar Dehe Abhishtahoila Pradyumna Shingananda Age Koila Avirbhav Lokanishtariva E Ishwara Sabhav. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered almost all the fallen souls by directly meeting them. He delivered others by empowering the bodies of great devotees such as Nakula Brahmachari, and he delivered still others by appearing before them, as in the case of Nishinga Brahmachari. I shall deliver the fallen souls. This statement characterizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sakadarshane sab jagat tarila egbar jay dekila se kritarta hoila. When Mahaprabhu was personally present, anyone in the world who met him even once was fully satisfied and became spiritually advanced. Goda Desher Bhakta Gan Pratyabda Asya Puna Goda Deshe Jai Prabhure Miliya. Every year the devotees from Bengal would go to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and after the meeting they would return to Bengal. Ara Nana Desher Lok Ashi Jagannath Chaitanya Charitamrita Hoila Kritarta. Similarly, people who went to Jagannath Puri from various provinces of India were fully satisfied after seeing the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sapta Deepera Lok Aranaba Kandabasi Deva Gandharva Kinara Manusha Beshe Ashi. People from all over the universe, including the 7 islands, the 9 khandas, the planets of the demigods, Gandharva Loka and Kinara Loka, would go there in the forms of human beings. Prabhure Dekiya Jai Vaishnavahaya Krishna Bole Nache Sab Prema Vishta Hoya. Having seen the Lord, they all became Vaishnavas. Thus, in ecstatic love of Godhead, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and danced. Emata Darshane Tri Jagat Nishtari Jkeho Asite Nare Aneka Samsari. Thus, by direct meeting, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the 3 worlds. Some people, however, were entangled in material activities and could not go. Tasabab tarite Prabhu se sabdeshe Jogya Bhakta Jiva Dehe Korana Aveshe. To deliver people in regions throughout the universe who could not meet him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally entered the bodies of pure devotees. Se Jive Nija Bhakti Korana Prakashe Taharadarshane Vaishnav Hoy Sarvadeshe. Thus he empowered living beings, his pure devotees, by manifesting in them so much of his own devotion that people in all other countries became devotees by seeing them. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kali Kaler Dharma Krishna Nama Sankirtan Krishna Shakti Binanahe Tara Pravartan. Unless one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot spread the holy names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra throughout the world. Persons who do so are empowered. Therefore, they are sometimes called Avesha avatars, or empowered incarnations, for them they are empowered with the power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj commented that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was one of these shaktyavesh avatars, or shaktyavesh, that he was empowered by Sri Nityananda Prabhu to spread the chanting of the holy names and the Krishna conscious movement all over the world. Emata Veshe Torila Tribhuvan Goda Jaiche Avesha Kori Digdarshan. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the entire 3 worlds, not only by his personal presence, but also by empowering others. I shall briefly describe how he empowered a living being in Bengal. Ambuya Muluke Hoy Nakula Brahmachari Parama Vaishnava Teho Bora Adhikari. In Ambuya Muluk, there was a person named Nakula Brahmachari who was a perfectly pure devotee, greatly advanced in devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Ambuya Mulak is the present Ambika, a city in the Vardhaman district of West Bengal. Formerly, during the Muslim regime, it was called Ambuya Mulak. In this city, there is a neighborhood called Bihari Ganja, and that is where Nakula Brahmachari used to live. Goda Desha Nalok Nishtarite Mana Hoila Nakula Ridaye Prabhu Avesha Korila. Desiring to deliver all the people of Bengal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the heart of Nakula Brahmachari. Grahagrasta Prayam Nakula Prima Bishta Hoya Hasikande Nachigai Unmata Haya. Nakula Brahmachari became exactly like a man haunted by a ghost. Thus he sometimes laughed, sometimes cried, sometimes danced, and sometimes chanted like a madman. Ashukampa, Stamba, Sweda, Sadvika Vikar, Nirantara Premi Nritya, Sagana Hunkar. He continually exhibited bodily transformations of love, of transcendental love. He continually exhibited bodily transformations of transcendental love. Thus he cried, trembled, became stunned, perspired, danced in love of Godhead, and made sounds like those of a cloud. Or this is hunkar, like roaring sounds. Taiche Gorakanti, Taiche Saraprimavesh, Tahadeki Bare Aishe, Sarva Godadesh. His body shone with the same luster as that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he showed the same absorption and ecstatic love of Godhead. People came from all provinces of Bengal to see these symptoms. Jaride ki tariko hai kaha Krishna naam tahara darshane lok hoy primodam. He advised whomever he met to chant the holy names, Hare Krishna. Thus upon seeing him, people were overwhelmed with love of Godhead. Chaitanya Ravesha hoy nakulera dehe Shuni Shivanandaila Korea Sandehe. When Shivananda Sen heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had entered the body of Nakula Brahmachari, he went there with doubts in his mind. Parika korite tara jabecha hoila bahire rahiyatabe bichar korila. Desiring to test the authenticity of Nakula Brahmachari, he stayed outside thinking as follows. Apane bolana more iha jadi jani amara ishta mantra jani kohena apani tabe jani ihate hoy chaitanya veshe eta chinti shivananda rohila duradeshe. If Nakula Brahmachari personally calls me and knows my worshipable mantra, then I shall understand that he is inspired by the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thinking in this way stayed some distance apart. Asankhya lokara gata keho aishe jai lokara sangate keho darshana napai. There was a large crowd of people, some coming and some going. Indeed, some people in that great crowd could not even see Nakula Brahmachari. Aveshe Brahmachari kohe Shivananda ache dure janadui chare jahav bolaha tahare. In his inspired state, Nakula Brahmachari said, Shivananda Sen is staying some distance away. Two to four of you go call him. Charideki Daya Loke Shivananda Boli, Shivananda Kon Tomai, Bolaya Brahmachari. Thus people began running here and there, calling in all directions, Shivananda. Whoever is Shivananda, please come. Nakula Brahmachari is calling you. Shuni Shivananda Sen Taha, Shigra Aila, Namaskara, Koritara, Nikate Basaila. Shuni Shivananda Sen Taha, Shigra Aila, Namaskara, Koritara, Nikate Basila. Hearing these calls, Shivananda Sen quickly went there, offered obeisances to Nakula Brahmachari and sat down near him. Brahmachari bole tumi korila samshai egmana haya shuna tahara nischai. Nakula Brahmachari said, I know that you are doubtful. Now please hear this evidence with great attention. Gauragopal mantra tomara chariyakar aishva abhishvasa chara jay koriyacha antar. You are chanting the Gauragopal mantra composed of 4 syllables. Now please give up the doubts that have resided within you. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the Gauragopal mantra in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. Worshippers of Sri Gaurasundar accept the 4 syllables, Gauranga as the Gaura mantra, but pure worshippers of Radha and Krishna accept the 4 syllables Radha Krishna as the Gauragopal mantra. However, Vaishnavas consider Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu non-different from Radha Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahiyanya. Therefore, one who chants the mantra Gauranga and one who chants the names of Radha and Krishna are on the same platform. Tabe Shivananda Mani Pratiti Hoila Aneka Samana Kori Bahu Bhakti Koila. Shivananda Sen therefore developed full confidence in his mind that Nakula Brahmachari was filled with the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shivananda Sen then offered him respect and devotional service. Emata Mahaprabhura Achinja Prabhav Eveshuna Prabhura Jaiche Hoy Avirbhav. Huh? Tabe Shivananda Mane Pratite Hoila Aneka Samana Kore Bahu Bhakti Koila. Shivananda Sen thereupon developed full confidence in his mind that Nakula Brahmachari was filled with the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shivananda Sen then offered him respect and devotional service. Emata Mahaprabhura Chinja Prabhav Ebeshuna Prabhura Jaiche Hoy Avirbhav. In this way, one should understand the inconceivable potencies of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now please hear how his appearance, Avirbhav, takes place. Sachira Mandire Yara Nityananda Nartane Srivas Kirtane Yara Raghava Bhavane. Sachira Mandire Yara Nityananda Nartane Srivas Kirtane Yara Raghava Bhavane Echaritai Prabhura Sara Avirbhav Prema Krishna Hoy Prabhura Sahaja Swabhav. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always appeared in 4 places: in the household temple of Mother Sachi, in the places where Sri Nityananda Prabhu danced, in the house of Srivas Pandit during congregational chanting, and then in the house of Raghava Pandit He appeared because of his attraction to the love of his devotees. That is his natural characteristic. So this is the avirbhav. We heard about sakshat and avesh. Now we're hearing about the avirbhav, Sri Mahaprabhu. Nishringananda rage avirbhuta hoya bhajana korela taha shunamanadiya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared before Nishringananda Brahmachari and ate his offerings. Please hear about this with attention. Shivanandar Bhagina Shrikanta Senanam Prabhura Kripate Teho Bora Bhagyavan. Shivananda Sen had a nephew named Shrikant Sen, who by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely fortunate. Ekbatsara Teho Pratama Ekeshwar Prabhudeki Barayaila Utkanta Antar. One year, Shrikant Sen came alone to Jagannath Puri in great eagerness to see the Lord. Mahaprabhu Tarideke Bora Kripa Koila Mashadui Teho Prabhur Nikate Rohila. Seeing Shivananda Sen, Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Shrikant Sen, seeing Shrikant Sen, Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Shrikant Sen stayed near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for about 2 months at Jagannath Puri. So this nephew of Shivananda Sen, Shrikant Sen, by the grace of Mahaprabhu was extremely fortunate. One year, Shrikant Sen came alone to Jagannath Puri in great eagerness to see the Lord. Seeing Shrikant Sen, Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Shrikant Sen stayed near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for about 2 months at Jagannath Puri. Tabe Prabhu Tare Agya Koila Goda Jaite Bhaktagan Nishediya Etake Ashite. When he was about to return to Bengal, the Lord told him, forbid the devotees of Bengal to come to Jagannath Puri this year. Mahaprabhu, when he's going back to Bengal, Shrikant Sen is going back to Bengal, then Mahaprabhu told him, forbid the devotees of Bengal to come to Jagannath Puri this year. Ebat Sara Tahami Jaimu Apane Tahai Milimu Sab Advaita Desane. This year I shall personally go to Bengal and meet all the devotees there, headed by Advaita Acharya. Shivanande Kohia Ami E Paushamase Achambite Avasha Ami Jaiva Tarapashe. Please inform Shivananda Sen that in the month of Paush, December, January, I shall certainly go to his home. Jaganananda Hoi Taha Teho Bikadibe Sabare Kahihae Matsara Kehona Ashibe. Jaganananda is there and he will give me offerings of food. Inform them all that no one should come to Jagannath Puri this year. Shrikant Asya Gode Sandesha Kohila Shuni Bhaktagan Mani Ananda Hoila. When Shivananda Sen returned to Bengal and delivered this message, the minds of all the devotees were very greatly pleased. Shalite Chila Charya Rohila Stirahaya Shivananda Jaganananda Rahe Pratyasha Korya. Advaita Acharya was just about to go to Jagannath Puri with the other devotees, but upon hearing this message, he waited. Shivananda Sen and Jagannath also stayed back, awaiting the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Paushama Sheila Duhe Samagri Korea Sandhya Parjanta Rohe Apeka Korea. When the month of Paush arrived, Jagannananda and Shivananda collected all kinds of paraphernalia for the Lord's reception. Every day they would wait until evening for the Lord to come. Ematamasha Gosaina Aila Jagannananda Shivananda Dukete Hoila. As the month passed, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come, Jagannananda and Shivananda became most unhappy. Achambite Nishingananda Tahayaila Duhe Tara Milit Tabe Stane Basaila Duhe Duke Deki Tabe Kohe Nishingananda Toma Duka Kore Kene Deki Nirananda. Suddenly Nishingananda arrived, and Jagannananda and Shivananda arranged for him to sit near them. Suddenly Nishingananda arrived, and Jagannananda and Shivananda arranged for him to sit near them. Seeing them both so unhappy, Nishingananda inquired, "Why do I see that you are both despondent?" Tabe Shivananda Tare Sakala Kohila Ashiba Agyadila Prabhu Kenina Aila. Then Shivananda Sen told him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised that he would come. Why then has he not arrived? Shuni Brahmachari Kohe Koraha Santoshe Amita Anivatare Tritiya Divase. Hearing this, Nishingananda Brahmachari replied, "Please be satisfied. I assure you that I shall bring him here 3 days from now." Tahara Prabhava Prema Jane Dui Jane Anibe Prabhurayebe Nischai Koilamane. Shivananda and Jagannananda knew of Nishingananda Brahmachari's influence and love of Godhead. Therefore, they now felt assured that he would certainly bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pradyumna Brahmachari Tara Nijanam Nishinganandananam Tara Koila Goranam. His real name was Pradyumna Brahmachari. The name Nishingananda had been given to him by Lord Gaurasundar himself. Duidina Janakori Shivanandere Kohila Panihati Grami Ami Prabhure Anila. After meditating for 2 days, Nishingananda Brahmachari told Shivananda Sen, I've already brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the village known as Panihati. Kali Madhyane Teho Ashibena Tamaragare Paka Samagri Anaha Amibika Dimutare. Tomorrow at noon he will come to your home. Therefore, please bring all kinds of cooking ingredients. I shall personally cook and offer him food. Tabitari etamianiba satvar nischai kohilana kichu sandeho nakora. In this way I shall bring him here very soon. Be assured that I am telling you the truth. Do not be doubtful. Jai chahiye taha korat haya tatpar ati twaraya koriba paka shuna an atapur. Jai chahiye taha korat Haya tatpar ati twaraya koriba pakashuna atapar. Sing all the ingredients. Bring all the ingredients very soon, for I want to begin cooking immediately. Please do what I say. Pakasamagri amaha ami jahajai jay magila shivananda ani dilatai. The Shingananda Brahmachari said to Shivananda, please bring whatever cooking ingredients I want. Thus Shivananda Sen immediately brought whatever he asked for. Okay. Pratakala hoite baka Pratakala hoite baka korila par nana vyanjana pita kira nana upahar. Beginning early in the morning, the Shingananda Brahmachari cooked many varieties of food, including vegetables, cakes, sweet rice, and other preparations. Actually, it says here, kheer. It's like sweet rice, but there's no rice in it, so it's cooked down milk. Pita cakes, kheer, various offerings of food were prepared by the Shingananda Brahmachari. Jagannath Arabina Boga, Pritak Borila, Chaitanya Prabhuda Lagi, Araboga Koila. After he finished cooking, he brought separate dishes for Jagannatha and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagannatha Rabina Boga Pritak Maurila Chaitanya Prabhuda Lage Araboga Koila. So brought separate dishes for Jagannath and Mahaprabhu. Ishtadeva Nishringa Lage Pritak Borila Nijajane Samarpiya Bahire Jana Koila. He also separately offered dishes to Nityananda, his worshipable deity. Thus he offered all the food into 3 offerings. Then outside the temple, he began to meditate upon the Lord. He also separately offered all dishes to Nrsingananda. It's Nrsingananda. He also separately offered dishes to his deity, and deity in his that he worships, in that sense, his deity, his worshipable deity. Thus he divided all the food into 3 offerings, and outside the temple he began to meditate upon the Lord. Deke Shigra She Basila Chaitanya Gosai Tinbo Kaila Kichu Avashishtanai. In his meditation he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quickly come, sit down and eat all 3 offerings, leaving behind no remnants. Anande Vivala Pradyumna Pari Ashrudar Ha Kiba Kara Bole Koraye Futkar. Pradyumna Brahmachari was overwhelmed by transcendental ecstasy upon seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything. Thus tears flowed from his eyes. Nevertheless, he expressed dismay, saying, "Alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You are eating everyone's food." So he made 3 offerings for Jagannath Mahaprabhu and Nrsinga, and Lord Nrsinga, his worshipable deity. or Nrsingadev. My dear Lord, then alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You're eating everyone's food. So Mahaprabhu came, and Nrsingananda could see. Mahaprabhu came and ate the offerings of for Mahaprabhu, Jagannath, and Nrsingadev. And he was very happy with that, but he expressed dismay. Well, you're eating everyone's food. Jagannath etomai aikya gauta tarabog nrshingera boga kene kora upajog. My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath. Therefore, I have no objection to your eating his offering. But why are you touching the offering for Lord Nrsingadev? Nrsimera hoila jani aji upavas takuru upavase rohe jiye gaichedash. I think that Nrsingadev could not eat anything today, and therefore he is fasting. If the master fasts, how can the servant live? Bhajana deki jajapi tara ridaye ulas Nrsinga lakya kori baye kichu kori dukabas. Although Nrsinga Brahmachari felt jubilation within his heart to see Mahaprabhu eating everything for the sake of Lord Nrsingadev, he externally expressed disappointment. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Chaitanya Gosai Jagannath Nrsinga Saha Kichu Bedanai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of God in himself. Therefore, there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nrsingadev. Iha Janibare Pradyumnera Guda Hoitaman Taha Dekaila Prabhu Korea Bujan. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Therefore, there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nrsinga. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Chaitanya Gosai Jagannath Nrsinga Saha Kichu Bedanai. Iha Janibari Pradyumna Guda Hoitanman Tahadekaila Prabhu Korea Bojan. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. One to understand that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. And he's no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nrsingadev. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. Bhojana Koriya Prabhu Gela Panihati Santosha Paila Deki Vyanjana Paripati. After eating all the offerings, Mahaprabhu started for Panihati. There, he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetables prepared in the house of Raghava Pandit. Shivananda Kohe Kene Koraha Futkar Teho Kohe Deka Tomara Prabhura Vyabahar. Shivananda said to Nrsingananda, "Why are you expressing dismay?" Nrsingananda replied, "Just see the behavior of your Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Teen Janara Bhog Teho Ekela Kaila Jagannath Nrsinga Upavase Hoila." He alone has eaten offerings for all three deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nrsingadev remained fasting. Shuni Shivanandar Chitti Hoila Samshai Kiba Primaveshe Kohe Kiba Satya Hoy. When Shivananda Sen heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nrsingananda Brahmachari was speaking that way because of ecstatic love or because it was actually a fact. So, Tabe Shivanande Kichu Kohe Brahmachari Samagriyana Nishinga Lage Puna Pakori. When Shivananda Sen was thus perplexed, Nishingananda Brahmachari said to him, "Bring more food. Let me cook again for Lord Nishingadev." Tabe Shivananda Bhog Samagriyanila Pakakori Nishingera Bhoga Lagaila. Then Shivananda Sen again brought the ingredients with which to cook, and Pradyumna Brahmachari again cooked and offered the food to Nishingadev. Varshantare Shivananda Laya Bhaktagan Nilachali Deke Jaha Prabhura Charan. The next year, Shivananda went to Jagannath Puri with all the other devotees to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They didn't go the year that when the Nishinga Brahmachari brought Mahaprabhu there in his aspect of avirbhav. But the next year, after that happened, they were all satisfied. Mahaprabhu had said, "Don't come," and they were wondering that I will go to Bengal, but they were wondering why Mahaprabhu has not come. But then Nishingananda Brahmachari brought Mahaprabhu, and he ate the offerings, and they were satisfied. So the next year, Shivananda went to Jagannath Puri with all the other devotees to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ekdin Sabate Prabhu Bhatta Chalaila Nishinganandar Guna Kohite Lagila. One day in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised these topics concerning Nishingananda Brahmachari and praised his transcendental qualities. Gata Varsha Paushe More Koraila Bojan Kabunahib Kai Aiche Mishtana Bjanjan. The Lord said, last year in the month of Paush, when Nishingananda gave me varieties of sweetmeats and vegetables to eat, they were so good that I felt I had never before eaten such preparations. So Mahaprabhu is confirming what had happened. Shuni Bhaktagan Mani Ascharya Manila Shivananda Mani Tabe Pratyaya Janmila. Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder, and Shivananda became confident that the incident was true. Emata Sachi Grihe Satata Bojan Srivasara Grihe Korana Kirtana Darshan. In this way, Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Sachimat every day and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when Kirtan was performed in Srivasangam. Nityanandar Nrityadekin Ashi Bare Bare Nirantara Avirbhav Raghavaragare. Similarly, he was always present when Nityananda Prabhu danced, and he regularly appeared at the house of Raghava Pandit. Premavasha Gora Prabhu Jaha Premotam Premavasha Hoyataha Denadarashan. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears, and his devotees see him. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears, and his devotees see him. So especially Mahaprabhu in his appearance or avirbhav feature is always where Mother Sachi is offering food to Nimai, where Nityananda is dancing in the in Sriva Sangam, the house of Srivas Thakur, when nightly kirtans are happening, and in the house of Raghava Pandit. Mahaprabhu is appearing these places. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears and his devotees see him. Premavasya Gaura Prabhu, Jaha Premutam, Premavas, Hoyataha, Dena Darshan, Shivananda, Premasima, Ke Kohite Pare, Jara Premavasya Prabhu, Aishe Bare Bare. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Sen, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Eta kohilu gorera avirbhav, iha jay shune jane Chaitanya Prabhav. Thus I have described the appearance of Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord. Purushottame Prabhu Pashe Bhagavan Acharya Parama Vaishnavateho Supandita Ara. At Jagannath Puri, in the association of Mahaprabhu, lived Bhagavan Acharya, who was certainly a Brahmin, a learned scholar, and a great devotee. So, at Jagannath Puri, in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, lived Bhagavan Acharya, who was certainly a gentleman, a learned scholar, and a great devotee. Sakya Bhavakranta Chita Gopa Bhatar Swarup Gosait Saha Sakya Vyabhahar. He was fully absorbed in thoughts of fraternal relationships with God, as Krishna as a friend. He was an incarnation of a cowherd boy, and thus his dealings with Swarup Damodar were very friendly. Ekanta Bhave Ashri Jachan Chaitanya Charan Madhye Madhye Prabhura Teho Korana Nirantar. Ekanta Bhave Ashri Jachan Chaitanya Charan Madhye Madhye Prabhura Teho Korana Nimantran. He sought the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet with full surrender. Sometimes he would invite the Lord to dine at his home. It's the Bhagavan Acharya. Sometimes he would invite the Lord to dine at his home. Gare bata kore koren bibida byanjan ekalego sai loya karana bojan. Bhagavan Acharya prepared varieties of rice and vegetables at home, and brought the Lord there alone to eat. Tarapita Vishayi Bora Shatananda Khan Vaishya Vimuka Acharya Vairagya Pradhan. Bhagavan Acharya's father. Bhagavan Acharya's father, whose name was Shivananda Khan, was an expert statesman, whereas Bhagavan Acharya was not at all interested in the management of the state. Indeed, he was almost in the renounced order of life. Bhagavan Acharya is not interested in any aspects of administration of the state. But that's in contrast to his brother Satyananda Khan, who was a famous statesman. Gopala Bhattacharya Nam Tara Chotabai Kashite Vedanta Pade Gela Taratai. Bhagavan Acharya's brother, whose name was Gopal Bhattacharya, had studied Vedanta philosophy at Benares and then returned to Bhagavan Acharya's home. During those days, and also at the present, Vedanta philosophy is understood through the community of Shankaracharya, which is known as the Sharirak Bhashya. That's impersonalism. Thus it appears that Gopal Bhattacharya, the younger brother of Bhagavanacharya, had studied Vedanta according to the way of the Sharirak Bhashya, which expands the Mayavad philosophy of the impersonalist. Bhagavanacharya's brother, whose name was Gopal Bhattacharya, had studied Vedanta philosophy at Benares and had thus returned to Bhagavanacharya's home. So now he's a scholar who had studied the impersonalist philosophy of Shankaracharya in Benares, and now he's come back to his place in Bengal. During those days, and also at the present, we mentioned Vedanta philosophy is understood through the commentary of Shankaracharya, which is known as the Sharirak Bhashya. Thus it appears that Gopal Bhattacharya, the younger brother of Bhagavanacharya, had studied Vedanta according to the way of the Sharirak Bhashya, which expands the Mayavad philosophy of the impersonalist. Acharya Tahare Prabhu Pare Milaila Antarjami Prabhu Chite Sukana Paila. Bhagavanacharya took his brother to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, knowing that Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi philosopher, could not get much happiness from meeting him. Acharya Sambande Baye Kore Brityabas Krishna Bhakti Bina Prabhu Nahoy Ulas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives no happiness from meeting one who is not a pure devotee of Krishna. Thus, because Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavad scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. So Mahaprabhu doesn't derive any happiness meeting persons who are impersonalists, and Bhagavanacharya brought his brother Gopal Bhattacharya before Mahaprabhu, but knowing him to be a Mayavadi, Mahaprabhu didn't express much jubilation or feeling in meeting him. Thus, because Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. Nevertheless, because Gopal Bhattacharya was related to Bhagavanacharya, Mahaprabhu feigned pleasure in seeing him. He didn't have any pleasure, but due to the fact that he was Bhagavanacharya's brother, younger brother, who Mahaprabhu had affection for Bhagavanacharya, so he feigned some pleasure in meeting his younger brother Gopal. Swarup Gosaire Acharya Kohearadine Vedanta Padiya Gopal Asyache Ekane. Bhagavanacharya said to Swarup Damodar, Gopal, my younger brother, has returned to my home, having concluded his study of Vedanta philosophy. Sabimeli Aisha Shuni Baya Iharstane Prema Kroda Kori Swarupa Hridaya Tahare. Swarup Gosaire Acharya Kori Koheyar Ardine Vedanta Padiya Gopal Asyache Ekane. Bhagavanacharya said to Swarup Damodar, Gopal, my younger brother, has returned to my home, having concluded his study of Vedanta philosophy. So let me read this. Bhagavanacharya took his brother to meet Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, knowing that Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi philosopher and impersonalist, could not get much happiness from meeting him. Mahaprabhu derives no happiness from meeting one who is not a pure devotee of Krishna. Thus, because Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. Nevertheless, because Gopal Bhattacharya was related to Bhagavanacharya, Mahaprabhu feigned pleasure in singing because of his relationship with Bhagavanacharya, whom Mahaprabhu has affection for. Swarup Gosai Acharya Koheyara Dine Vedanta Padiya Gopo Asiyachayakane. Bhagavanacharya said to Swarup Damodar, Gopal, my younger brother, has returned to my home, having concluded his study of Vedanta philosophy at Benares. Sabi Meli Aisha Shuni Bhashya Iharastane Prema Kroda Kore Swarup Bolaya Bachane. Bhagavanacharya requested Swarup Damodar to hear from Gopal the commentary upon Vedanta. Swarup Damodar, however, somewhat angry because of love, spoke as follows. Budi Brashta Hoila Tomar Gopalera Sange Mayavad Shunibare Upajila Range. You have lost your intelligence in the association of Gopal, and therefore you are eager to hear the Mayavad philosophy. Vaishnava Hoya Jeva Shariraka Basha Shune Sevya Sevaka Bhava Chadi Apanare Ishwaramani. When a Vaishnava listens to the Sharirak Bhashya, the Mayavad commentary upon the Vedanta Sutra, he gives up the Krishna-conscious attitude that the Lord is the master and the living entity is his servant. Indeed, he considers himself the Supreme Lord. Maha Bhagavat Jai Krishna Pranadana Jar Mayavad Shravane Chitta Avashafiritara. The Mayavad philosophy presents such a jugglery of words that even a highly elevated devotee who has accepted Krishna as his life and soul changes his decision when he reads the Mayavad commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Acharya kohe amasabar Krishna nishta chite amasabar mana bhashya nari firaite. In spite of Swarup Damodar's protest, Bhagavan continued, we are all fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna with our hearts and souls. Therefore, the Sharirag Bhashya cannot change our minds. We won't be affected by that because we've already surrendered ourselves at the lotus feet of Krishna with our hearts and souls. So we don't have to worry about hearing the Sharirag Bhashya. It won't change our mind. Swarup kohe tatapim mayavad shravane chit brahma maya mitya e matrashune. Swarup Damodar replied, nevertheless, when we hear the Mayavad philosophy, we hear that Brahman is knowledge and that the universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. We hear Brahman is knowledge and that the universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. Jiva Jnana Kalpita Ishware Sakala Jiva Jnana Kalpita Ishware Sakalai Agyana Jahara Shravane Bhakter Fatimana Prana Jiva Jnana Kalpita Ishware Sakalai Agyan Jaha Shravane Bhakter Fatimana Pran. The Mayavadi philosopher tries to establish that the living entity is only imaginary and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is under the influence of Maya. Hearing this kind of commentary breaks the heart and life of a devotee. So Bhagavanacharya answered, but we are fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. We won't be affected by hearing this commentary from the Sharirak Bhashya from Shankaracharya. It won't affect us then. But Swarup Damodar says, nevertheless, when we hear the Mayavad philosophy, we hear that Brahman is knowledge and that the universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. The Mayavadi philosopher tries to establish that the living entity is only imaginary and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is under the influence of Maya. Hearing this kind of commentary breaks the heart and life of a devotee. Srila Swarup Damodar wanted to impress upon Bhagavan Acharya that even though someone firmly fixed in devotion to Krishna's service might not be deviated by hearing the Mayavad Bhashya, that Bhashya is nevertheless full of impersonal words and ideas such as Brahman, which represent knowledge but which are impersonal. The Mayavadis say that the world created by Maya is false and that actually there is no living entity but only one spiritual effulgence, and that is Brahman. They further say that God is imaginary, that people think of God only because of ignorance, and that when the Supreme Absolute Truth is befooled by the external energy Maya, he becomes a jiva, or living entity. Upon hearing all these nonsensical ideas from the non-devotee, a devotee is greatly afflicted, as if his heart and soul were broken. Lajabaya Paya Acharya Monahoila Aradin Gopulere Deshe Pataila. Thus Bhagavan Acharya, greatly ashamed and fearful, remained silent. The next day he asked Gopal Bhattacharya to return to his own district. Ekdin Acharya Prabhure Koilani Mantran Gare Bata Kore Kore Bibida Byanjan. One day Bhagavan Acharya invited Mahaprabhu to dine at his home. Thus he was preparing rice and various types of vegetables. So this is one of the central parts of the chapter concerning Bhagavan Acharya inviting Mahaprabhu to his home and asking younger Haridas, Chota Haridas, a singer, to gather rice for the program. So tomorrow I'll read that. Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Maranamon. Giridhari Gopinatha Maranamon. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jaoite Vignanasha Vishta Puran. Jaoite Vignanasha Vishta Puran. H.I. Gosai Jar Muitaradas. H.I. Gosai Jar Muitaradas. Kastavar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras. Kasavar Bada Renu Mora Panchagras, Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas, Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas, Janame More Abilas, Janame More Abilas, Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas, Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas, Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash, Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash, Anande Bolo Hari Banja Vrindavan, Anande Bolo Hari Banja Vrindavan, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Prem Sigo, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Bhagwat Ki Jai, Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Sri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai, Saparshada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshada Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Sri Koladvip Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan, Sham Guna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai, Shri Lochan Das Thakur, Tirubab Mahotsav Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.